Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a profound, almost unbelievable mystery tucked away in the vast waters of the Bay of Bengal. We're talking about North Sentinel Island. It's a tiny territory holding a secret that literally defies belief in our modern era. It's a place completely shrouded in mystery, an island where time has seemingly stood still while the rest of the globe just races forward.
So, let's dive right in by asking yourselves a seemingly simple question. Where is the single most isolated place on Earth? Go ahead. Truly try to imagine the absolute most disconnected spot on our hyper-connected planet today. You're probably thinking of the deep Amazon rainforest, right? Or maybe the frozen, empty expanses of Antarctica, or some remote, endless desert. But what if I told you the answer isn't just about harsh geography? It's actually about a deliberate, absolute separation from the entirety of human civilization. Section 1. The most isolated place. A locked room in a crowded world. To really wrap our heads around this extreme isolation, think of the modern world as a noisy, bustling, incredibly crowded house. Every room is wired, people are shouting across the halls, sharing information instantly. Well, North Sentinel Island, it's the one locked room in that massive house. And not only is the door locked, but there's a permanent, fiercely defended, do not disturb sign hung right on the doorknob.
That analogy brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the anomaly we're dealing with here. Just think about it. On one side, you've got our reality, right? The interconnected world. We all have smartphones, we've got global travel, constant 24/7 news cycles, and instantaneous global trade. But on the exact flip side, we have North Sentinel Island, a place defined by thousands of years of total isolation. While we're out here living in this wild web of instant connection, the Sentinelese people have existed in a completely separate parallel reality for millennia, entirely untouched by the technological revolutions that define our everyday lives.
Moving on to Section 2. A world of their own. Thousands of years of isolation. This builds into a completely separate reality, sitting right within India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands territory. See, this isn't an island entirely cut off from neighboring landmasses by vast uncrossable oceans. No, it's actually part of a larger Union territory, yet it functions as an entirely independent universe.
What's really fascinating to consider here is the true definition of the word uncontacted. The Sentinelese are an indigenous tribe, and they represent one of the very last uncontacted tribes left on the entire planet. But listen, uncontacted doesn't just mean they don't have Wi-Fi. It means their entire way of life, their language, their core beliefs, their social structures. It is all a complete enigma to us. Because of this extreme isolation, absolutely everything we know about them has to be studied entirely from afar. Any attempt to understand their culture has to be done without any intrusion whatsoever, which, as you can imagine, is an incredibly significant challenge for modern researchers.
I want you to pause for a second. Try to truly imagine what it actually means to be completely cut off from the rest of the world. Imagine severing every single one of the invisible threads that tie your life to the globe. No internet, obviously, but also no outside trade, zero knowledge of global events or modern medicine or even the existence of other nations. That is their everyday ancient reality. It's exactly like a living time capsule that has been perfectly sealed and preserved, completely bypassing the march of modern history.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that this isolation, it isn't an accident. And it definitely isn't simply because we somehow forgot they were there. They've made it crystal clear they do not want outsiders. The extreme isolation of the Sentinelese is deliberate, and it's actively enforced by the tribe themselves. Throughout history, the very few documented encounters with the Sentinelese have been incredibly brief and often intensely tense. They have drawn a very clear boundary in the sand, and literally in the water, establishing that the outside world is absolutely not welcome.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 3-mile shield, the invisible force field. Because it isn't just the Sentinelese defending their shores, there's actually a modern legal structure acting as a barrier to keep the chaotic modern world out.
That invisible force field is defined by a strict 3-mile buffer zone. It was put in place by the Indian government, wrapping all the way around the island. Think of it like a giant, invisible bubble drawn on the map that no unauthorized vessel is legally permitted to cross. This buffer zone represents a government policy of absolute non-interference. Basically, the Indian government respects the tribe's wishes and purposefully keeps a safe distance. And this policy? It's incredibly crucial because it protects both sides. It protects curious visitors from the tribe's defensive hostility, and far more importantly, it protects the Sentinelese. The Indian Navy is tasked with monitoring the island to enforce the zone without ever making contact. You see, the tragic reality is that interfering with uncontacted tribes can have disastrous consequences. I mean, even a simple modern cold virus, something our immune systems just brush off without a thought, could completely wipe out an uncontacted population that has absolutely zero immunity to outside diseases.
It's just an incredibly delicate balance. On one side, you have the Indian Navy, this highly advanced modern authority, charged with the unique mission of observing from a distance without ever interfering. And on the other side, you have the Sentinelese, fiercely protecting their home and maintaining their impenetrable way of life. It's a profound standoff of mutual separation that is exceedingly rare in our modern history.
Let's look at Section 4, the 2018 contact tragedy, a fateful breach. This serves as a deeply somber turning point in the story of North Sentinel Island, because, as we all know, a legal buffer zone isn't physically impenetrable.
Here is how that force field was tragically breached. Back in 2018, an American missionary named John Allen Shaw deliberately bypassed the legal restrictions and made an attempt to contact the tribe. Shaw's journey was driven by a deep, personal desire to convert the Sentinelese to Christianity. He actually paid local fishermen to smuggle him close to the island, and then he ventured onto the shore completely alone. The inevitable result was that the intrusion ended in absolute tragedy. Shaw lost his life on the island, falling victim to the tribe's absolute defense of their isolation.
His tragic end serves as a grim, real-world validation of everything we've just discussed. It is a stark reminder of the island's truly impenetrable nature. It absolutely proves why the Indian government's non-interference policy is so vitally important, and it highlights the immediate, disastrous consequences of forcing modern contact onto a people who have spent thousands of years defending their absolute right to be left alone.
Finally, Section 5, the ethics of isolation. Our responsibility to uncontacted communities. The events of 2018 rippled far, far beyond the Bay of Bengal, building into a massive global conversation.
Chow's story sparked a massive amount of debate about the ethics of seeking to contact isolated tribes. The incident forced the entire world to really look inward. We had to examine our own innate human curiosity, our desire to explore every single inch of the map, and the heavy moral implications of imposing our super interconnected world onto a totally isolated one. Think about it. Just because we have the technology to reach them, does that actually give us the moral right to do so? As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, profound question to consider. In an era where literally every inch of the globe is mapped, photographed, and connected, what is our responsibility to protect isolated communities and their ancient way of life? Do we have a duty to simply let the ultimate mystery remain a mystery? Really think about that the next time you're looking at a world map. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.